Steven, how's the new place?
Still packed. There's not much rearranging that's been done in the last podcast. When did we do the last one? My week's been all jumbled. Was it
We
Tuesday?
did one on Monday
Monday.
to react to Derek Carr signing
Correct.
with the Saints.
Okay. Well, we did it on Monday, and
Still no Mike, I see.
I'm still no mic. I have the mic. I know where that is, but I can't find the little adapter that has the adapter for the Mac. I can't find it. So anyway, so when we talked on Monday, I was like just overly confident that all this stuff was going to get rearranged by the time we next spoke and all that. A lot harder than I anticipated, and the cat's going insane. Even though she's enjoying it, she's going nuts. And then on Wednesday, I went to do the final move of our last place. You know, like we had a few things that we left back, and we were like, you know, we could take this. We could take this in one car, and we could do that. Nope, not at all. There's way too much. I had a lot going on that day. I got home from work. I get a bunch of texts, and I'm like, I can't even pay attention to this right now because I got to do all this packing. Then I thought I lost my car keys, but it turns out they were left in the door that opens up the storage, and it's a long it's a whole thing, Derek. But point being, it's been a slow start to the move so far. Love the area though.
Well, I'm hoping that you get everything situated with the move. And welcome everybody to Just Your Opinion, man. Stephen Langford, Derek Papa.
And we have a world famous Hot Boys just down the road, and I decided to go there on Wednesday night.
Hot Boys?
World famous Hot Boys. Or no, Thursday night. Was it Thursday or Tuesday?
Are we talking about the Master P, Snoop Dogg, Silk the Shocker movie from back in the day?
No, we're not. We are talking about the chicken sandwich shop.
Ooh.
Yeah. I
didn't know there was one in Walnut Creek, or a place called Hot Boys in Walnut Creek to begin with.
The world famous Hot Boys. Well, it's based in Oakland, and
is there?
Oh yeah,
where Mel's used to be. Ernie says. Also, Ernie says our stream started late. What's going on with Twitter lately? They're gonna delete all our old broadcasts. Did you see that?
Well, that's okay. We got them all. We got them all on YouTube. Anyone can check them out on YouTube if they want.
That's true.
And also during the week, I did work on some clips. We're going to do a lot more clipping with this show. We have the capability of doing that without having to pay.
We have the technology.
We do. We have the software without having to pay for some extortionate editing program. So instead, we will be putting out more snippets of this show instead of just like the long hour and a half, 2 hour shows, whatever we do.
I'll let you handle that.
Fair enough.
By the way, I don't like the way AI is going. And not to sound like, oh, I'm scared of the future. Have you seen this account on Twitter? The guy that's able to do Kyle Shanahan's voice?
No.
Okay, hold on. I just followed him the other day. It's hilarious, but it makes me worried.
What does this guy do? Like a
Sour Death Sam.
Sour Death.
This guy is able to take the AI of someone's voice, so say Kyle Shanahan or Nick Bosa, and he writes like haikus, like poems. Like the other day, it's hilarious. He puts like, have you ever seen like Stuart Smiley from Saturday Night Live back in the day? It's got like nice music in the background, but he's talking about like, I miss Jimmy. I should give him a call today. It's hilarious. But it sounds exactly like Kyle Shanahan, and nothing is stopping the future of people taking people's voices and using it against them. Like, remember a year ago we were talking about the faces you could use, like you use your face as a scanner to get into the Mets games.
Dude,
remember that?
Dude, it's too much.
I don't like any of this shit.
There's a guy on Instagram whose entire, and I looked up sour death Sam. Jesus.
His name's a tongue twister.
But yeah, I got the Nick Bosa talks about Christopher Columbus.
Hey, there's the cat for the first time.
Oh God, that's terrifying. I don't like it. There's a whole Instagram dedicated to one guy who just does a deep fake of Tom Cruise.
Yeah, I've seen those. I've seen those.
It's like, what kind of livelihood is that? Like, you're just gonna pretend to be Tom Cruise? Is that your life?
If it gets in the benefit of being Tom Cruise.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
To your point, Steven, you were moving this week, so
Uh-huh.
we didn't do a show. But also I think we didn't need to do a show during the week because I got to be honest, a little disappointing. Up until yesterday, I was expecting a lot of trades, a lot of fuckery, since we're on the cusp of this happening on Monday, and all we got was basically, I mean, if you're into the Chuck Clark trade from the Ravens to the Jets, then there you go. And we'll talk about the trade that happened yesterday with the draft. But besides that, we just got a bunch of Aaron Rodgers is holding the Jets hostage. They're meeting in Los Angeles, the brass of Woody Johnson and Joe Douglas, Robert Saleh, his old coordinator now, Nathaniel Hackett, and all of them met at a restaurant called Lucky in Malibu. And now we're just waiting on Aaron Rodgers to finally do the damn thing. And I'm assuming it's going to happen on Monday, or maybe he retires. Who the hell knows at this point? But it's just getting really, really frustrating. And I'm assuming that it will all come to a head on Monday. God damn, let's just end this thing already.
You know what's funny is the one thing you said that you were not looking forward to at all this offseason is this whole thing with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is going to do this for yet again another year where he's just going to hijack all of the offseason and all that. And now it's the only thing.
But this is the closest we've ever gotten to him actually being traded, and I think it's going to happen. But it's just taking too damn long, and it probably is just the Jets being like, take the week to think about it, get to us by the new league year, which the tampering period will happen on Monday. I think it is going to happen. I'm assuming that Rodgers was talking with the Jets. He probably talked to his agent and said, "Is there anybody else? Are the Dolphins interested? Are the Raiders interested? And if the Jets are the only option, then let me think about it." And I don't think he wants to go out like this. I think he wants to go play one more season, probably, or two more. But just make a damn decision already, because I'm tired of like the conflicting reports that the trade compensation has already been agreed to, and then Tom Pelissero comes out this morning saying no, it hasn't. What is pretty clear at this point is that Mark Murphy did an interview wherever it was yesterday. It basically said, without saying it, we want to move on.
Right.
And they asked, is there any way that Aaron Rodgers comes back to the Packers? And he was like, yeah, there could be, but if everything goes the way we want it to, then he won't, which is like, get out of here.
Right.
So my guess is that Aaron Rodgers will agree to a trade. We won't get the ramifications of it probably until Monday, but it's going to happen, maybe.
Right. Yeah. No, it seems inevitable at this point. It's not like a matter of if, it's a matter of when, the old cliche as that goes. But Giannis Antetokounmpo out for the Warriors. That sucks.
I know. And then God, we'll talk about them, but I don't think I do not think this game matters tonight at all.
No. Yeah, the Rodgers, do you think like this would be though like the best wide receiver core and offensive roster that he's played with in quite some time? I know he had like Aaron Jones as the running back, and you'd probably take him over, guys like Breece Hall and all that. I mean, they're up and coming right now in terms of running backs, but as far as wide receivers go, like I don't think he's going to regret this decision at all to go to the Jets. I think it's
besides Garrett Wilson, who do you like?
Elijah Moore.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to buy in though.
Yeah, I like Elijah Moore. And yeah, just their talent, man, and their offense.
Corey Davis still on that team? He may be a free agent, actually.
Corey Davis is a free agent.
Yeah.
But other than that, well, we also had the Lamar Jackson stuff going on.
No, we'll talk about that too. But the actual trade that did go down was yesterday, and it was a big one. Since the Chicago Bears acquired the number 1 pick in the draft, it was a question of whether or not they were going to stay with it, because they just drafted Justin Fields a couple seasons ago. And sure enough, they're moving on with Justin Fields, and they got a bounty of picks and a big-time player in return with the Carolina Panthers. So the Panthers get the number 1 pick in the 2023 draft, while the Bears get the Panthers' number 9 pick, the 61 pick, the 2024 first-round pick, their 2024 second-round pick, and DJ Moore, who was part of trade conversations last deadline. He's going to go to Chicago to team up with Justin Fields. So your thoughts, Steven, on this trade, the Carolina Panthers and Frank Reich, after not getting Derek Carr, that was probably not what they wanted to do, but they probably were more interested in what they did yesterday and acquiring the first overall pick in the draft.
Well, it doesn't matter what happens this year, because I think they're going to be in kind of a similar spot they were to when they took Cam Newton, where it's like
Yes.
we got this stud of a quarterback, but what made that Panthers team great was how they built the defense and how they just built that entire team around Cam Newton. So it doesn't matter what happens this year. Like I think it's super unfair to kind of just like immediately grade the trade and think that it's going to process like immediate results, like or produce immediate results. No, that's not going to happen. But man, what the Bears got in return, like I'm sure there was a lot on the table for them, and I'm sure they were just like, I'm sure what's his face, what's the name, the new GM, Ryan Poles,
Ryan Poles.
yeah, I'm sure he's just like sitting back on his couch, like drinking a nice glass of whiskey or something, just looking at these proposals that he has from all these teams that want to trade up to one.
You don't know if Poles drinks whiskey.
I don't know. I'm just guessing. He may look like a whiskey guy. He looks like a whiskey guy.
How do you know what a whiskey guy is?
Just suave, debonair.
Am I suave and debonair? I drink whiskey from time to time.
Nah, you're like a hey, I'm gonna drink a little.
Go ahead and say it.
Burnett's vodka, which is like $7 vodka that I always used to drink as a freshman in Chico because I had no money.
You think I'm drinking that shit?
No.
I thought you were gonna rip on me on my usual micheladas or Bloody Marys.
No, the michelada thing. Look, I make fun of you for that, but I only get on you when you drink multiple micheladas. One is good. More than one is too much.
As I've stated in the past, those days are over.
Yeah. We're getting up there now. We can't really do the 2 michelada days, but
it's a mess. It's a mess.
But the DJ Moore thing, like that puts them over the top. They're gonna have such a speedy wide receiver core. I don't know what's going on with like the Bears and their offensive line. It all depends on how they do with these draft picks, and I think they've done pretty well recently, if I'm not mistaken, with the Bears. But anyway, it's a good trade overall, I think, for both parties. It's just a question of what the Panthers are going to do with that number 1 pick. I've already seen something from like NFL Rookie Rumors or whatever, their Twitter page, saying that David Tepper and whoever else are already, having different opinions on who they want with the number 1. Like one wants Bryce Young, one wants CJ Stroud, but I don't believe that. I don't believe that report at all.
Well, I don't think they have someone in mind already. I think they just want that opportunity to pick somebody, and they're going to evaluate between Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud. But I saw another report where they could trade down in a fucking draft day scenario. I don't see that happening. I think they want a quarterback. They need a quarterback, and they'll take a quarterback at number 1. The question now is, so now it's Carolina and Houston, and you got to believe that they will go quarterback. I heard rumors out there about Jimmy Garoppolo and the Texans. That very well could be. But I don't know if you're going with Jimmy Garoppolo as your guy for the future. So I think more than likely it would be quarterback, Carolina, Houston. And then you got Arizona at 3. So in order to acquire the first overall pick, the Carolina Panthers had to go from 9 to 1. And they leapfrogged the Atlanta Falcons and the Las Vegas Raiders. So you're going to assume that C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young are off the board 1-2. Now, what do you do if you're the Raiders and you don't make a significant quarterback move in free agency, and I mean like a long-term solution, then what is your game here as far as the draft? Do you want Anthony Richardson? Do you want Will Levis? More than likely, you're going to have to move up to get him now. So I see Arizona at number 3, and they don't need a quarterback. Now, we'll get into that in some time and see how Kyler Murray is with the new regime and his ACL, but they'll pass on a quarterback for now in the first round. Do you want to trade up from 7 to 3? I think you need to do that now because to wait, you're gonna have the Colts there at number 4. You're gonna have other teams kind of want to trade up to get Will Levis or Anthony Richardson. So I think it'd be in the best interest for the Raiders, if they're passing on Aaron Rodgers, to trade up to acquire the number 3 pick in the draft.
I agree. They can't just wait around anymore. You just can't. There's no other option really, and I think Anthony Richardson needs to be the guy at this point. Again, that's not just based on what I've seen in college. Oh, I think he's going to be. I think he's more pro ready. It's nothing based on that. He's just the more exciting player, and there's. It's just I don't even know if upside's the right word to call it because like upside is basically meaning like, oh, this guy is gonna reach that potential. I don't know, but man, just the effort that he has when he throws the ball. There's none. It's just the way that he looks, man. He's just so powerful and strong and quick, and he's athletic. Like the Raiders haven't had that in forever. You know, they had Derek Carr, who is your typical pocket passer, and you know what? Maybe Will Levis, like maybe that's his ceiling. Like Derek Carr's not a bad quarterback. You know, he's a decent quarterback who's not a superstar, and he might not be in the tier 2, but tier 3 guy. That could be what Will Levis turns into. Whereas Anthony Richardson, it seems like he has the potential to be right up there with the not the tier 1s because that's Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, all the greats already.
But you kind of need that.
But you know, you need a guy who's at least going to be in tier 2 though, and I think Anthony Richardson has that potential. I don't know with Will Levis. So, yeah, I think they absolutely need to, and you can't just wait around anymore for like the tackle from Northwestern whose name is escaping me right now. You can't wait
Paris
for that.
Paris
Yeah,
Johnson.
forgot his
Oh,
name.
Northwestern. I was thinking of Ohio State.
Yeah,
I don't
but
know. I need to do a deep dive into all these guys because I'm not very familiar with them yet. I will say this: I am more in on Anthony Richardson than I am Will Levis because this guy's a freak.
yeah,
Besides the fear of milk, have you seen this guy eat bananas whole?
no,
There's a video out there of Will Levis eating a banana, peel and all. I don't like that.
yeah, no. This dude's not passing. I mean, this is like a different version of the Wanderlick test. This is like just a human being test. He's not exactly passing with flying colors. If you're deathly afraid of milk and you eat bananas with the peel on it, then I don't want you as the franchise guy.
No, you're psycho.
Um, you know, I don't know him personally, but I am
Well,
judging.
not to mention he also puts mayonnaise in the coffee.
Well, that's because of the fear of milk. He needs some sort of creamer in there, but it's like, well, be like be like crazy, be like the normal people here and drink it black, coffee black. Andre 3000, semi-pro.
There you go. Yeah, no, yeah, Ernie, we're not making this up. I've seen the video. There's a video out there this past year. He was, I guess, like whatever you do on Instagram, live, IG, and he's eating a banana whole.
That's something you don't need to show the world.
No, you
There's
don't.
there's some things you can keep to yourself. Yeah, that's kind of what I like about athletes and what I've learned is no matter how much we think we know them, no matter how much they post on social media, there are certain things about themselves they hide. Although Micah Parsons might be the exception, but and now Will Levis is that guy too. But there's certain things you could just keep to yourself. You know, you don't have to show the world that you do that. It's
I
not his
agree.
fault that it's not his fault that the milk thing got out. That was according to a source on delish.com. But
Yeah. So is there any direct quotes with that?
no direct quotes. It's just like
So that could be a rumor.
I showed you the article on that one. I
Yeah,
don't
I
know.
know. I need to do my own investigating on that. I did see the man eat a banana whole.
Okay, so which one's weirder to you though, eating the banana whole or the ketchup with the steak? Because the ketchup with the steak to me is worse than that.
With Mahomes?
Yep, with Mahomes.
Well, I mean, a lot of people put ketchup on their steaks. The former commander in chief did that shit, and you can judge him for that as well.
Really?
Yeah,
Trump did?
yeah.
He really put ketchup on his steak?
I love ketchup. Heinz is the best.
I had no idea. Look, you don't got the tomato sauce. You can't do regular tomato sauce. It needs to be ketchup.
I'm sure Meatball Ron puts, some ragu on his meatballs. I take ketchup like a true American.
I eat ketchup on my steak. I don't eat Chef Boyardee noodles like Sleepy Joe. Uh, uh,
Meatball Ron.
Meatball Ron's
Ron.
that's a good one.
It's hilarious. Also, the slightly racist motherfucker.
Yeah, I guess so.
Anyway, yeah, we'll see what happens. I do think the Raiders need to trade up, along with signing a veteran quarterback. I'm getting the feeling it's going to be Jimmy. We'll see though. Although Jimmy could want to go to Houston and be with D'Amico. Who
Yeah.
knows? I don't
Yeah.
know.
I don't know what's going to happen with old Garoppolo. That one's a whole mystery to me.
I do believe though Jimmy is going to have to accept the fact that he's just going to be a stopgap guy the rest of the way.
Well, that's what we talked about last week, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, is he really that guy who's going to be, like a Geno Smith type where you sign him to maybe a 1-year deal and then you test out the waters and maybe sign into a 3-year contract? No, he's probably going to be taking over. Like, that's why I think the Geno Smith contract is not going to be good for the future of the Seahawks. Like, you need to get a true replacement to Russell Wilson. Like, you see what happens when you get that young, flashy quarterback who can win you championships.
Well, there's another reason why the Raiders need to trade up to number 3, because the Seahawks are number 5, and they very well could draft a quarterback. That contract that Geno Smith got is not necessarily the end of the world. They could get out of it after next year.
Yeah, it's the same as the Carr contract. Yeah. Yep, very similar.
And the same thing with Daniel Jones. Everyone's freaking out like, oh, Lamar Jackson can't get a deal, but Daniel Jones gets one. Daniel Jones signed for very little money. I know that people think on the surface like NFL contracts don't mean shit. Bobby Wagner signed a huge, big old contract with the Rams last season, and now he's done. Like, you could get out of it very quickly. It kills your cap and whatnot, but teams could get out of it. It's not guaranteed money. They're paying Daniel Jones $160, and they don't need they're not giving him the biggest contract in the world. If they don't like what they see from Daniel Jones next season, they very well could release him.
Yeah. That whole thing with Jones, like when I first saw the $45 million is what he wants, I didn't know whether to believe that or not. I'm like, 45 mil, Daniel Jones, easy. All right. Easy there, Daniel. Easy there, DJ. Danny Dimes. You're not Danny Millions. All right.
Now he is.
Sheesh.
For a season. Let's see if he, lives up to the hype. But it's crazy to me that, if you ask probably NFL GMs right now, they would say we'd rather go with Jimmy Garoppolo as a quarterback because he's going to be cheaper than Lamar Jackson. And that brings us to Lamar getting the non-exclusive franchise tag when the deadline was happening on Tuesday. And as soon as that happened, I was like, non-exclusive. So that means that they're trying to set up a deal with the Atlanta Falcons or somebody. And sure enough, moments later, Diana Rossini comes out and says the Falcons are not interested in Lamar Jackson. Then we get other, inside beat writers saying like, the Dolphins aren't interested, the Commanders aren't interested, the Raiders aren't interested. And that begs the question. Are all NFL teams right now colluding together to make sure that Lamar Jackson does not get a fully guaranteed contract because Deshaun Watson got one and everyone is pissed about that? I think a little bit of yes and a little bit of no. I think that, yes, I do believe that nobody wants to give Lamar Jackson a fully guaranteed contract. And I'll tell you why that's justified. But I also believe that Lamar, and he could do what he wants, but he's also kind of hurting himself with not having an agent. I think this is kind of backfiring on him. He could have been paid handsomely well before this, and he wants the Deshaun Watson money. And the Deshaun Watson thing, while however slimy it was, I hate saying this, I trust Deshaun Watson more as a quarterback than I do Lamar Jackson. That is the truth. And I'm probably not off the field because I think, Deshaun Watson's a scumbag. But as far as Lamar Jackson as a quarterback, there are limitations, and he has not finished the season the last 2 seasons. And if we're paying a guy a fully guaranteed contract, he's got to be a premier passer. And I think Lamar Jackson is capable of it, but we have not seen it yet. Am I surprised that no one wants to give him that? A little, but I understand it given his track history with his injuries the last 2 seasons.
It's also the fit. That's what my immediate thought was, because I didn't see I didn't see all of the teams basically just informing everyone that they're not going to trade for this guy. I didn't see any of that. The first one I saw was the Falcons, and I actually got to say I was surprised by that because it seemed like the Falcons were the one team that was kind of suited for him. You got your tight end in Kyle Pitts. You kind of have that replacement to Mark Andrews. They got Drake London, that wide receiver out of USC. And last year, a majority of the time when they used Mariota, it was a lot of RPOs. We're going to let our quarterback run if he wants to. It's just, we're going to give him the option. So it felt like that would be the best fit. I wasn't really surprised by the other teams saying they didn't want to. And the collusion thing, to be honest, that's way too mentally exhausting for me to even like think about, because there's so much conspiratorial stuff that's around. It's a personal thing. Like, it's a personal thing for me. Like, there's just too much. It's just like, I need to focus on other things. I'm moving right now. Like, I'm paying attention to this. Oh, no teams want Lamar Jackson. Okay. The Deshaun Watson thing though. You really trust him still as a quarterback?
Yes.
But what about
more than Lamar? Yes.
I don't know. I think, like, looking at what he did last year, I don't care who you are. You come back, you're gonna do something. And Deshaun wasn't able to do anything last year. He did not look good.
He dealt with a lot last year, but it was warranted. He also was suspended. I don't think that he got the opportunity to gel with his receivers and everything. I think a lot of quarterbacks last season that went to new teams did not fare well. It wasn't just Deshaun. It was Russell Wilson. It was Matt Ryan, Carson Wentz. So I'm willing to go forward with that because I do trust him more as a pure passer than I do Lamar Jackson. Now, just because all these teams say they are not interested doesn't mean that they won't be. This is also a wonderful time of year where people lie.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the interesting with the Atlanta Falcons is that you would think they'd be all interested in him, and they come out with that statement. And then I've never seen this before, and I don't really want to put a lot of stock into it, but Diana Rossini's tweet of "We are not interested," or the Atlanta Falcons are not interested in Lamar Jackson, was liked by the Atlanta Falcons Twitter account, which is kind of weird. But also I could see it as like kind of a wink, like we're not interested now, but maybe we will be.
Right. Right.
I think a lot of teams want his asking price to come down. I think in the end, Baltimore will give him a reasonable contract, but I don't think any team's going to be giving him. I don't think any team's not willing to give him 2 first-round picks for Lamar Jackson. That's easy. That's less than what Deshaun Watson got. The question is, do they want to give him the fully guaranteed contract? And in the NFL, that is a no-no. Deshaun Watson's the only guy that got that.
Right.
No one wants to deal with that because in the NFL, as opposed to baseball or basketball, the risk of injury is extremely high. And the way that Lamar Jackson plays, we've seen it the last 2 seasons. It wasn't a thing before, but now that he's getting up, not getting up there in age, but he's getting older, he is getting more hits to his body. And there's also the rumor that he did not want to come back and play in that playoff game, which I don't know if that's going to rub teams the wrong way. I can also see from his standpoint, he's a free agent. He doesn't want to risk a significant injury going into free agency. But I think that may hurt him as far as his perception out there as well. So I do think a team will be interested in Lamar. At this point, I would say the Baltimore Ravens have the best chance to obtain him or just have him come back to the team. But I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if the Atlanta Falcons are just like, let's see what goes on with Baltimore, and then we'll reach out. But I think they do. I think every team does want his asking price to come down.
Yeah, and I don't know with him, like, what's going on behind closed doors. Like, I give him the benefit of the doubt. I say, like, look, if he feels he's worth whatever he's asking for, then I think you should pay him that, because I kind of disagree with you on the whole Deshaun Watson thing.
Okay.
I just think with the, like,
you're wrong. You can't disagree with me.
I understand the whole fully guaranteed contract thing. But I think he outside of the injury stuff, I think I just think he's such an electric quarterback. And when he, like, it's not just his quarterback play, it's giving the defense something to think about. Like, this whole added element to the game. He's still the same type of rushing quarterback. We have seen him make some improvements in terms of his accuracy over the past couple of years. I think he's worth whatever he should be. But when you're also thinking about how many teams here just aren't interested, like, I personally think, maybe there's something going on behind closed doors during these meetings that we're not seeing, that other teams are just like, whoa, that's a kind of a red flag from him. I don't know. There's there's all sorts of things that happen with negotiations, and maybe they just don't like the way that he's handling himself as his own agent. I don't know.
That could be the case.
So like that's just an option. I'm not saying that's how it is, and that's actually not what I think. I just think teams are very hesitant to pay quarterbacks like that, especially when they can win an MVP. Like I'm seeing all this stuff win an MVP, but how far have they really gotten in the postseason? Like to where you've whenever you have guys with MVP seasons, like with Aaron Rodgers the past couple of years, I think part of the reason why Green Bay is okay to get rid of him is because look, he had these MVP seasons and look where that got us. Like we need to build our team elsewhere, and maybe other teams are thinking that way too. I don't know. It's a bizarre situation with Lamar. It really is. And all of it coming out so quick too.
Yeah. I see a lot of, former players saying that something's going on here, and Richard Sherman compared it to, would Joe Burrow get that? I don't think Joe Burrow is going to ask for a fully guaranteed contract. I think the reality is Jimmy Haslam of the Browns knew he was going to lose Deshaun Watson out to the Falcons. And in order to make the deal go through, he said, I'll fully guarantee your contract. And he said, okay, shit, yeah, I can't pass that up. Where the Falcons were like, no, we're not matching that.
Right.
They may not do it with Lamar.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm
one of the only like recent guaranteed contracts I remember fully that people were not up in arms about was Kirk, old Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
He got his 2-year deal. I forgot what it was worth. I think it was like it wasn't like $80 million. It wasn't $40 million a year. It was way below that, but it was fully guaranteed. Let me take a look. I think I actually have that open. It was 2 years, 66. Yeah. So it was 33 guaranteed each year fully. So it could just be that, like, the hesitancy of
that's a low number compared to 235.
100%, a little bit like that's doable. All right. 2 years, 66 million. Yeah, we could do that. But giving up 200 million over the course of the next 4 or 5 years. Yeah. Can't do that.
And I think for the Atlanta Falcons too, they are a growing team, and I don't know how they're going to go and, quarterback wise in the draft, but Lamar Jackson would help you, but also it could hurt you for the future as well. You would just be running around with Lamar Jackson and, Drake London and Kyle Pitts. What else do you have? You need to upgrade as well. So
you want a third opinion on this, Phoebe? What do you think? No? All right. Nothing. All right, cool. All right. Sorry. Thought the cat would have an opinion. She normally has these hot takes every day. It's crazy.
The cat has hot takes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very angry. She was very suspect about Team USA after they fell to the Giants 5-1 in that exhibition game. Very suspect. Anyway,
if you could have an actor be the voice of your cat, who would you choose?
An actor?
Yeah, or actress.
Well, you can't have someone that's like I'm not going to go with like an animated movie. I'm not going to act like I want like a.
Are you going to go 9 Lives with Kevin Spacey?
No. No. Who would God, who would I mean, it's pretty easy. I guess Morgan Freeman would be number one. Just have a cat that sounds like Morgan Freeman.
That actually would be pretty sweet.
Yeah, yeah. Or, the classic James Earl Jones. I don't know. Any epic voice.
Have you heard James Earl lately these days?
No, I have not.
That latest Lion King was a struggle for him.
Oof.
Yeah.
I can't remember. When I saw that Lion King, is it weird that I saw that on my own in theaters?
No, I actually remember you tweeting that, and I think I made fun of you for that. But no, nothing wrong with that.
Probably. Yeah, someone sneezed when Mufasa died, like in the middle of that time when Simba's going to see Mufasa dead.
Did you say Gesundheit?
No, but in the middle.
That's rude.
Dude, I've never heard a louder sneeze in my life. It was so
Did it scare
funny.
you?
It was so funny. I was in the middle seat, and he was on the end of the row, and all I hear is Simba's crying over Mufasa's dead body. All I hear is popcorn flew. Oh, anyway, sorry.
It was just you and this other guy in the theater?
No, it was a bunch of people. It was a packed theater, but
okay.
Yeah, it was packed. And this dude this is the loudest sneeze I've ever heard in the middle of like one of the saddest scenes in movie history.
It took away the emotion of the lifeless lions.
100%. Yes.
I'm not a fan of having that type of animation for those movies now.
What, the live action remakes?
Yeah, because like the Lion King, like it's it's supposed to be it's fucking talking animals. If you make them look like realistic animals with no emotion in their faces, it looks stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, you're kind of right. And
Simba.
then like having Seth Rogen as Pumbaa.
Well,
That didn't work.
if anyone's gonna be Pumbaa, it kind of makes sense for him to be Pumbaa.
It does, but like it, I don't know. It's Seth Rogen. Anything Seth Rogen does, it just sounds like Seth Rogen. That's the thing. It's
Well, yeah, he's not gonna put like an accent on it. Actually, you know what? He was actually pretty good in American Pickle. Did
what's
you see
that?
that? It's where it was a goofy movie where he was a Yiddish pickle briner, and he falls in the brine of pickles, and it keeps him like it's like an Austin Powers thing. He gets like frozen in the pickle juice for like 40 years or whatever it is, comes back to New York, his like long like ancestor is like Seth Rogen as a young man, and they learn how to adapt to the new world.
Right.
It's dumb, but actually did a pretty good like a Russian accent in that movie.
Seth Rogen did.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, all right. Fair
I mean,
enough.
I think he's making a Ninja Turtles movie. I saw.
Oh God, we don't need
Yeah.
another one.
As long as they're better than Michael Bay ones, I'll tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Some other rumors that I saw that could go down come Monday for the free agency fuckery. Michael Lombardi threw this one out there on a Pat McAfee show. The Rams are ready to move on from Matthew Stafford. Now, I respect Michael Lombardi, but also I don't know if I believe him on this one. Just because I think he's doing it as more of a suggestion that they should do this, as opposed to actually they are going to do this. And after this report came out, Les Snead came out and said, yeah, no, Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Aaron Donald are all the pillars of our organization going forward. I don't think that they want to trade him right now, but it could be something in the long term that they would look to do. But also, I think Matthew Stafford would retire before they would trade him. Also, I don't think Matthew Stafford is very tradable at the moment. He makes a shit ton of money, and also, I think he's fine. But there is the elbow situation,
Yeah.
and on the heels of the elbow, Brock Purdy got his surgery yesterday. Successful, should be ready to go by September. That may hinder his possibilities of starting the season and maybe Trey Lance's team come September, and then we'll see when possibly Trey Lance gets benched for Brock Purdy.
August 25th was the date I saw.
Well, that may be good for. Well, then again, Kyle doesn't play guys in preseason anyway.
Right.
But maybe you want to play Purdy in preseason. It's a Purdy preseason.
It is a Purdy preseason. It's a Purdy season, baby.
Yeah, so I don't know if I believe Michael Lombardi on the Matthew Stafford thing. I think that they maybe want to move on eventually because he is an older quarterback. And if they had the opportunity to trade him, they probably would take it. But no one's going to trade for him at this moment. I don't think anyone's going to take that contract in the age of Matthew Stafford. He's still a great quarterback, but I don't think they would make that move. I think they're better off just keeping Stafford, maybe signing back Baker Mayfield to be his, understudy. If they can afford that, but they're also making a shit ton of moves. They're releasing guys every day. Leonard Floyd's going to be gone from that team. Allen Robinson, we talked about last time. So I don't see Matthew Stafford leaving the Rams.
No, I don't either. That's just a random report. I don't put any stock into that until I actually see something happening. But yeah, I don't see why they'd want to move on from him. I'd be surprised if he plays next year, to be honest, though.
Everyone keeps saying that, but I got to be honest. Why is everyone thinking that? Just because his wife had a podcast where she was very upset with him and all the injuries he sustained through his life?
Well, it's not just that, but like it's a neck injury that he last had.
I get that, but I've
Like
heard that's not a
spinal
problem
cord.
anymore.
It's like what?
I heard that's not a problem anymore.
Well, like what if it like man, I don't know. It could be though.
Okay, well,
Going
what are
into-
you more concerned with, Stafford or Tua?
Well, Stafford.
Well, Tua's got his brain scrambles a couple times last season.
Well, yeah, but everyone gets their concussions every now and then. I think a guy can come back from a couple of them.
That's what I say too. I think both guys will be fine. I do. And the Tua was coming back with the Dolphins. They put any rumors to bed yesterday by picking up his fifth-year option. So at least he's going to play it out and see what he can do, another year in Mike McDaniel's offense.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Tom Brady stuff. No, he's done.
If if the Rams don't improve the offensive line at all, then I could see Stafford just being like, you know what, I'm gone. Bye.
I last year. I think he said that he wants to come back, but I think that's why they want to make some of these moves because they need to improve the offensive line. 100%. I think that trading Jalen Ramsey away for possibly a first-round pick will help you immensely in getting, a guard or a tackle. I don't know if Joe Noteboom's the guy that they want there, but yeah, they need to improve the offensive line. It does no service to Matthew Stafford at all if he's just running for his life. And, that's the case. If you read Jordan Rodriguez's article, he was just scared for his life back there, and he just threw to Cooper Kupp because he knew where he was all the time. Allen Robinson was a new guy to him. He didn't know where he was. He didn't know what his tendencies were. And I think that's kind of pulling the cord on that a little too quickly with Allen Robinson, but they just need the money right now, the Rams do.
Yeah. Yeah. If they don't improve the offensive line, it's going to be all for naught, all these moves in this offseason. Look, this NFC West is prime for the Niners taking again. Like they should, I think they should pretty much handle that division and are pretty set to be back in the playoffs, regardless of who starts at quarterback.
Even with Trey?
Even with Trey.
All right.
Even with Trey.
So let me ask you, what do the Niners need to do in the free agency fuckery? Do they need to make much moves besides maybe getting a veteran camp arm as far as a quarterback? I don't like. We're going to go through with the Raiders of who they could pick up at free agency, but as far as the Niners, I think the only thing they need to do really, this would be risky, but I think it's worth it. I think that they need to re-sign Emmanuel Mosley, and I know that he's coming off an ACL tear, but I think he's worth it to be teamed up with Mooney Ward. I would sign back Samson Ebukam. I just think you need to re-sign guys. The position you could probably improve on is maybe safety. I don't know if Deshaun Gibson at 30 plus years is the right answer. He's a free agent as well. Sounds most likely that Mike McGlinchey is going to move on. I probably think that come Monday he's going to be a Chicago Bear. Sign back Brunskill. I just don't think they need to add anything. They did that with Christian McCaffrey. I don't think the Niners need to go crazy and add a big name free agent.
No, the one position of need to me is free safety. I don't know if Gibson's that answer, but there's quite a few on the market. They don't
I looked at the market. Like besides Jordan Poyer, who's 30 years plus, I don't really know if I like anybody.
No, there's nobody on there that's notable. So I think they are going to re-sign Gibson, and I agree with you on the Mosley thing. That's got to be a priority, and his value is going to be down right now. So you're probably going to get him for a relatively cheap price as opposed to what he would have been previously. But if he didn't go through that injury, because Mosley's a good player, so I like the Niners are fine. That's the thing. Most of these teams, they need to make some sort of offseason acquisition to fill a position of need, and free safety might be the only one. But Gibson was fine last year, and I don't think he's going to be costing that much. So maybe just re-sign him. I don't know. What do they want? Depth up the middle of the defensive line. Maybe they need. I think Azeez Al-Shaair is a free agent. Maybe they need to add like a third linebacker or something like that. Even though they run a lot of packages that only require two because they run a lot of nickel and dime stuff. So I don't even know what the Niners need to do in free agency. And I don't know what they need to do with their 800 draft picks that they have in the third round next year.
I know. Compensatory picks paid off.
Yeah.
And the Christian McCaffrey deal gutted you in the first and second round, but you'll be fine later on.
Yeah. So I think they'll be fine. I don't think.
Well, not the first round, but later on. Yeah.
Right. I don't think they need to do anything. I really don't.
I don't think so either. I think they're fine. Just need to grow and finally win an NFC Championship game again.
Mm-hmm.
And get some steady quarterback play.
Yep.
That's the only thing holding them back. But as for the Raiders, as we sit here today, they are third in salary cap available with $47 million available for them. and that's a big reason why they got rid of Derek Carr. So, besides quarterback, because we think they're going to sign a veteran, and you know what, let's just ask this before free agency starts on Monday. Who do you think it's going to be? Do you think they're going to end up getting a veteran QB, and do you think it's going to be Jimmy or Carson or any of these guys?
I could see Jimmy. I could
Yeah.
see Jimmy being the one guy.
Would you be okay with that?
If
Like
they have a
initial reaction, everyone Schefter has the tweet, everyone photoshops Jimmy in a 10 jersey. What's your reaction?
Well, I'm okay with that if they draft a quarterback
But that's
because
Seth Roberts jersey, man.
sorry. Oh, that's a good point.
Matt Collins.
Yeah, no, he needs to forego the number 10 in respect for Seth Roberts, who, just seemed to make every tough catch imaginable, but couldn't catch a 3-yard slant.
That's truth.
He was like him and Denarius Moore, one and the same.
Denarius Moore had way more talent, just never fulfilled it.
Yeah. But Garoppolo, like from what we've heard, he's been nothing but great as a veteran, and I think he understands his place now. And I I think he knows that right now he's not going to be like a long-term solution anywhere else. And I think he's going to go into this season kind of like he was going into last year with the Niners before he got hurt, which is just, if I get my chance, I'm going to try and prove. And I'm going to say this again, Garoppolo played as well as I'd seen him play throughout his time with the Niners. Like he was pretty good in 2019, but I was seeing him make some throws last year. I was like, damn, Jimmy, all right. Like he seemed to be pretty comfortable. But if they draft a quarterback, I'd be okay with it. But not if he's like the long-term solution and he's the only guy you got on the roster and then your backup is Chase Garbers. Like, no, I'd not be okay with that. But if Jimmy's there, I'd be okay with it.
Yeah, I do. Man, that'd be a hard pill to swallow, but I do think it's between him and Houston, I think that he's going to either team.
Yeah.
But as far as the Raiders, besides quarterback, who is a free agent that you have your eyes set on that you think that could help out the Las Vegas Raiders?
Well, pretty much any defensive tackle that's available, any of these veterans, there's a ton. Fletcher Cox, Dalvin Tomlinson, Javon Hargraves, two of those guys from Philly, one from Minnesota. Like those guys, I think they'd be pretty good up the middle there. I'm good with any veteran adding to the defensive line and just continuing to grow that because Chandler Jones is coming on towards the end of the season. Max Crosby's Max Crosby. But my next up is linebacker because Denzel Perryman is about to hit free agency. And I don't know who'd be a good enough replacement for him. He was their Pro Bowler, and it turns out that he's going to be hitting free agency next year. So the top guys, Zach Cunningham, Deion Jones, Levante David, Eric Kendricks, Devin Bush. You got quite a few there.
Bobby Wagner.
Bobby Wagner's available as well. So, but also Bobby Wagner's kind of a step slower though. He's great, but there's a reason why the Rams are moving on from him other than, just cost cutting.
He's going to be 33.
But you need a middle linebacker. They don't have anyone on the inside right now. And if you're going to spend your first round pick on a quarterback, you got to get that situation figured out. They haven't had a good middle linebacker since I can remember. So
Ben Heaney.
Ben Heaney was fantastic. Don't you dare ever utter those words. Who's going to be number 51 next year? Because that player needs to give away their jersey out of respect for Ben Heaney.
The hybrid safety, as you called him.
Because I did. It was the first thing I ever talked to your dad about. Hey, Greg, do you think Ben Heaney should move to safety? He's kind of small.
What's the matter with you? No.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, he shot that down immediately.
That's my Adam Copeland impression of my father.
Wait, so that's your impression of another impression?
Basically, yeah. The Adam Copeland impression of my father, like it's different than the Dibs, where Dibs used to do like, "Hello, it's me, Gregory."
Yeah.
Adam Copeland does kind of like a John Lovitz-y kind of from Wedding Singer. He's losing his mind, and I'm reaping all the benefits. That's kind of how he has Greg talk. We're just like, I want to hear more. I want to hear more audio of me.
But Eric Kendricks would be one. I really like him. I think he's a fantastic linebacker. So if they could get him, I don't know. But that's the position of need, like to me. But they need help everywhere, man. They need
Yeah.
help everywhere. So, but I think middle linebacker would be one.
I got a name for you, Steven.
Who's that?
And this one's going to be a little controversial.
Okay.
What was the biggest play in the Super Bowl?
The biggest play in the Super Bowl with the Eagles and the Chiefs. Dude, I can't even remember the Super Bowl.
I know.
What was the biggest play?
It feels like a lifetime ago. It just happened, though.
What was the biggest play in the Super Bowl?
The holding penalty.
Kind
of determine the outcome of the game. And everyone wants to throw shade on this guy. And I don't know if he's going to be welcome back in Philly. But I think he's a damn good corner. And he knows who is the Raiders defense? Patrick Graham. He knows Patrick Graham from the Giants. I would take... Just forgot his name for a quick second. Jesus Christ, I'm getting old. James Bradberry. I would take James Bradberry as a free agent with the Raiders.
Okay. Why is that?
Because I think he's a good corner. I think he had a solid season. I think everyone's focused on just one bad play in the Super Bowl. And I know that Deebo Samuel thinks he's trash. I think he's actually pretty damn good. I just don't know if... I don't know what's going on with the Eagles. Now it sounds... So Darius Slay wants guaranteed money, and now Diana Rossini tweeted out yesterday that the Eagles have given him permission to seek out a trade. If that's the case, then maybe they bring Bradberry back. It looks as if they're not going to sign back C.J. Gardner-Johnson. That's just another guy I would love for the Raiders to have. Like you can, put him at free safety, figure out what Trayvon Merrick is going to be because he had a rough season last year. Eagles are changing things up. Like not winning that Super Bowl kind of hurts them. Speaking of Hurts, I love to see what Jalen Hurts gets in relation to what Lamar Jackson gets. Similar players, but Jalen Hurts had an MVP caliber season, but so did Lamar Jackson a couple seasons ago. Regardless, the Eagles going to make some moves. They signed back Brandon Graham, but they're going to lose some guys. I think that James Bradberry would be pretty good fit with the Raiders.
Yeah, no, I like that move. And you're right. Cornerback is something that's absolutely in need. Because like Rock Ya-Sin just did not cut it. I was expecting a lot more from him. That was I mean he's still going to be on the team for one more year if I'm not mistaken. But having him as your number one guy when Nate Hobbs went down, that just didn't go well. And then Amick Robertson, who is. Or is it Amik? I think it's Amik. But
I think it's Amick. Sam Amick Robertson.
Sam Amick Robertson. I had the same thought. He can make the flash plays, but he can also get picked on too from a quarterback. Like if a quarterback sees number 21 lining up outside, get one-on-one against he's lining up press man against a guy in man coverage. It's like, all right, I'm going to go pick on that guy. Like I can take my chances there, even
Reminds me of Sean Smith.
Oh, another number 21. Yeah, James Bradberry would be a good option. I'm seeing Jamel Dean's a free agent.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm looking at guys who are just like who actually played last year because that's a big thing. Like you need cornerbacks who can play because their secondary was in shambles last year.
No, it was.
Patrick Peterson's a free agent. I don't know if I want him, but
a little too old.
And a guy that I was kind of intrigued with until I saw like how much he played last year was Shaq Griffin. I was kind of intrigued when the Jags let him go. But I think, but they also got to get an offensive lineman too.
They do.
Man, they need everything.
That's why maybe they did the right move, not going after Rodgers.
Yeah. But also
as far as we know, but it seems like the Jets are the only team that was interested.
No, the Raiders. I don't think they want Rodgers. I don't think McDaniels wants a guy who is gonna react.
Challenge him.
Yeah. McDaniels kind of rubs me the wrong way, to be honest. I don't like what I'm hearing about him. I'm not hearing I don't think he's too much of a player's coach, which is fine. You don't need a player's coach, but you also need one who at least respects the opinion of the team. And it doesn't seem like he does too much. It seems like it's his way and his way is going to win. And that's it. It's not going to be anything with teammates. I mean, it's the same thing like with Lamar Jackson, Lamar Jackson and John Harbaugh, Like they worked hand in hand in those fourth down conversions, man. They were the ones saying, yeah, let's go for it. I don't know if McDaniels would do that.
Well, I got to be honest. If you think when Bill Belichick is holding team meetings and someone says, "Hey, coach, can we do this?" You don't think Belichick just stares at him and goes, "This isn't a fucking democracy."
Well, I think Bill at least. Well, Belichick though it's Belichick. You know what I mean? McDaniels hasn't built up the equity that Belichick's built up.
Well, did you see David Carr go off on him on the Cousins podcast?
No.
He's like, bro, from what I've heard, Tom Brady ran that offense to just bully Josh McDaniels into doing what he wanted, and that's why that offense ran so effectively. It wasn't anything Josh did.
That was like the complete opposite of what was said about Brady, though, in his time with the Patriots, wasn't it?
Yeah, people said he was a system quarterback.
Well, I've also heard like players talk about in the locker room. They say like, oh, if Tom Brady's going to get it in the film room, like nobody's nobody's off limits.
David just made it seem like Josh doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
Well,
where if you remember correctly, when Josh was named head coach, David Carr was all about that.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I get it. There's scorched earth with Derek, being released, but
it's very appropriate that he's on Harvester Sports. He's really harvesting the anger, and
he is,
and just harvesting that animosity that he has.
By the way, did you see Derek Carr's quote today with his first press conference with the Saints?
No, what'd he say?
Oh man, can't promise a lot of wins, but I'll promise you a lot of effort.
Oof.
Yeah.
That's not good. No, you need to promise wins, man. That's the same thing. Who was the one that said, I don't look at the scoreboard when we're playing, or I don't look at the standings? There was some head coach that said that, and immediately that was just a red flag.
That's how you get dick. That's how your job is evaluated.
Who was it? Who was it that said, God, I'm not paying attention to wins, losses. I'm like looking forward. I'm looking forward. I'm looking ahead. I can't remember who that was.
That sounds like an idiot.
Yeah. I can't remember who it was. I can't even remember which sport, but there was a coach who did that, and I wish I remembered.
Well, did you tweet out the quote and said this is stupid?
No.
It doesn't sound like you.
What?
You love to tweet now. Although you always have.
I really don't, though.
No, you don't.
I mean, I'm looking here. It's one retweet, the my joke with the Elliot Ramos, Steve Austin stat line, which I'm very proud of. No one seemed to like that one. It's 3 for 16 in spring Steve Austin. I just retweet a lot of things. I don't know. I'm kind of got off Twitter. I don't know. I spent money to delete my tweets though.
You spent money?
Yeah, there's like a tweet deleter thing that you can use. And I had 17,000 or something like that, 18,000 maybe. It was up there. And I've had my Twitter since like 2009. So I was like, I looked back at some of the old tweets, and there's nothing bad, there's nothing where it's like,
you scrub it to keep yourself from getting canceled.
No, there's nothing where like, it'd be like a Josh Hader situation where it's like you go back and then you see that he like tweeted out the lyrics with the N-word included in it. Nothing like that. Just a lot of very random tweets, just like legitimately tweeting when I'm in college, tweeting my thoughts, like all the thoughts that I've have in my head into Twitter. It's the worst. It's like, hey, just got home watching a movie. I'm so embarrassed when I was reading it. I was like, I need to delete these. So I was doing it one by one. Yeah. And then I said, I'm not going to be able to do this. This is going to take me years to do this. So I looked up this tweet deleter thing and they scrubbed everything.
How much did it cost you?
$10.
Worth it?
To me, yeah.
All right.
And there's also there's a lot of mean tweets about Rolando McClain.
Yeah, looking back on my Twitter, it's probably a lot of expletives of how the Raiders did on, back in the early 2000s.
Dude, it's not good.
Oh, sorry, I didn't join Twitter until I had to for a class. I remember being so pissed. I remember just avoiding it through college. I only got my NFL information through Pro Football Talk, which is ironic because I can't stand Florio. But that's how I got all my information. And I remember being in a class. It was even like a summer semester class after I graduated. So I don't even know if I would have Twitter if I started going, into the radio business. But the teacher was like, "You have to have Twitter in this class." I forget what class it was, but she like looked at me and judged me for being. I was the only guy in the class. She was like, "Is there anybody in here that doesn't have a Twitter?" I lifted my hand and said, "Yep, that's me." And I was
Mm,
so proud of it. And she was like, "Well, you got to change that by tomorrow because it's
oof,
required for this class." And I was like, "You got to be fucking kidding me."
yikes.
Don't like that. But then again, we all use it now.
Yep. And Ernie's correct. I do use the Twitter handle in the updates only, though. And they're reports, Ernie. Excuse me, not updates. They're reports. So put some respect on my job. I'm not a sports updater. I'm a sports reporter. Thank you.
You ever break any news?
No. Well, not like myself. Like I've gone on the air and like broke the judge stuff to people who are listening.
Did you break John Heyman's initial tweet?
No, I
Okay,
wasn't.
good.
I wasn't there. I was.
Yeah,
Um,
that's past your bedtime.
I was out sick when that happened.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was out sick, so I was home in the afternoon, and yeah, arson judge, man.
Good old Arson Judge. Apparently was more inclined to go join the Padres than the Giants.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Is what it is.
It is what it is.
Pregame did. Pregame did. Damn right, I broke some news during the pregame show. Oh, so proud when I got that.
Which
Yeah,
one?
Trent Williams. That was a big one. That was a big one. Everyone's waiting on Trent Williams, and they were having like a little station pool as to who was going to get that breaking news, and nobody liked to include the pregame show.
But it was you
Nobody.
at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Nobody remembers. Nobody knows except Ernie. Ernie, my man, and my
Ernie
guy Drake,
remembers everything.
and then my guy Drake from Mountain View, and there's a couple others. There's a couple others out there. Steven
Part
from
of the
Vallejo.
just part of the Langford posse.
Dude, we had a good little thing going, man. We created this own little clique, this little 5 a.m. clique, man. It was cool. It was cool. We built a brand.
Hey man, all you need is just some company at 5 a.m. Just faceless techs coming through helping you out.
Dude, seriously. Yeah, it's a real shame. I had this whole idea before I got the new job. I had this whole idea of doing the pregame show productions, and I had one in the works where I was just like going to create random stuff. And I had one called the Kittleophone, where it's like a microphone, and it's a pretend microphone, and each
Yeah.
setting has like a reaction from Kittle. So it's like when you're happy, you have Kittle going, whoa, and then I got all these other things. It was a genius idea. I had a couple others in the works.
Did Mitch from New Jersey used to call in, as Ernie was saying on the?
He called in because he was banned everywhere else.
Yeah, there's a reason for that. Listen,
Yeah, he
nothing against my man from New Jersey, Mitch, but dude calls way too much.
well,
Way too much.
it's not even that. He would call off topic.
Yeah,
Just-
that too. It's like, hey, so what are you guys talking about, huh?
Yeah. He'd give me some take about the Clippers. It's like, dude, I'm talking about peanut butter and jelly sandwiches right now. What are you talking? I don't.
You talk about your Clipper shit some other time. We're talking about good PB and J's, baby.
We are talking about the great underrated lunches.
Like Lunchables,
The Uncrustables, dude.
Uncrustables.
no, it's yeah. I use my Twitter handle, man. I have to. Sometimes when you need to give the full context of everything, like the Dylan Brooks and Draymond Green stuff. That's when I had to use it.
No,
earlier.
your tweet with that was helpful because I didn't know the exact quote and you got it. So
Yeah.
that was helpful.
Mhm.
Speaking of the Warriors and Dylan Brooks and Draymond Green, whole lot of chatter before that game on Thursday. Whole lot of chatter. Draymond going through word for word of the statement of Dylan Brooks and then
It's great.
saying Dylan Brooks is a fraud and I don't think he called him a fraud, but he just basically he's the worst player on the Grizzlies and his own teammates don't like him, everything like that.
Dude, I mean, hey, Draymond's got a gift for gab though, man. The way that he put it, where he said the dynasty does not start with you, it starts after you. Oh,
Mhm.
that is just a genius line.
It was all great. I'm not taking anything away from him. The Draymond's a wordsmith. He's going to be fantastic at broadcasting once he retires from the Lakers next season. But this is my problem with the Warriors. Well, I'll tell you what my biggest problem with them is right now. They can't fucking win on the road. They are
Yeah.
terrible on the road. I don't know what it is. As Steph Curry put it after they lost to either the Lakers or the Thunder. I forget which one it is because they've had so many road losses. They're trash on the road. They are trash on the road, and I don't know what it is. Um, they just have no effort. They get off to terrible leads, and they can't survive them. And even with Steph back, it doesn't help them. Don't know what's going on with Andrew Wiggins. Wish him all the best. Um, but yeah, they got issues right now on the road, and I think it has to do a lot with their arrogance. I think that they are an arrogant team, and Marcus Thompson brought this up yesterday, and I agree with him. I think that they bring up the fact that they are four-time champions way too much,
I agree.
way too much,
Yeah.
and I think that they always, Clay brought it up like you don't want to see us in the playoffs. You probably don't because the intimidation of the Warriors is a factor. I give you that. But you got to also live up to the now. And I didn't like Clay Thompson earlier this year when Devin Booker was yelling at him. Clay had to bring up, I'm a four-time champion. Like, I don't, just because, like, no one's disrespecting you guys. You guys have accomplished a lot. But also, you want teams to just cower in fear over you, too? No. The Grizzlies, Draymond doesn't think it's a rivalry, and I don't really know what the definition of a rivalry is. I think a rivalry just could be two teams that have animosity towards each other. It doesn't need to be they won, then we won. But if you want to go back on it, yeah, the Warriors beat the Grizzlies last year, but the year before that, the Grizzlies knocked the Warriors out of the playoffs. So, to me, they're just a bunch of teams in the NBA that do not fear them. They go after them. They are beatable on the road, and they want the whole arena, whether it's the Grindhouse with the Grizzlies or Phoenix or wherever they are, they want them to know that just because you're four-time champion doesn't mean you're gonna do shit in this house. So I think that they are just too reliant on the past, and I think that they just think that they'll switch it on at the right time, and they've done that in the past, but I don't think they have that capability anymore. I don't care what happens tonight against the Giannis-less Bucks. They have proven they can win at home at Chase Center. The next two games will be telling. They play the best two teams in the conference, in each conference, in my opinion. No, Kevin Durant slipped, and he's going to be out for 3 weeks at least the other night, and that's just unfortunate. Like, that totally sucks. Like, how are you going to let that happen? But Kevin Durant may miss the remainder of the regular season and then come back for the Suns in the playoffs, which you don't know if they're going to have good chemistry at that point, but you'd rather have Kevin Durant in the playoffs as opposed to not having in the playoffs. Regardless, the Warriors play the Bucks and the Suns next. And to be completely honest, I don't really care how they do in those two games. It's the 5-game road trip after that I care about against the Grizzlies and the Mavericks and Hawks and whoever else, Clippers. That's where I give a shit because they have just proven that they're a Jekyll and Hyde team. They are fantastic at home, and they do not give a shit on the road.
Yeah, and well, we've seen what happens too when just how important road wins are, and I don't have an answer for it. I think Steve Kerr is right in saying that it's based off of their slow starts. Because it seems like they're giving up 40 like every single first quarter, and you're fighting an uphill battle. Like they were already down by 20 in that last game. It's like against Memphis, like you're already down by 20 in the first quarter. Like how do you think you just come back from that? And they actually did. They managed to make a dent into the score. But at some point, the chickens come home to roost. I can't figure out this team, dude. I really can't. I think that I think missing Kuminga hurt them a lot in that last game. I think
he got hurt during pregame warmup.
He gets hurt too, although his was like, I thought his was worse than Durant. Well, not worse than Durant's because Durant's was done like when he was landing on the way down. Whereas Kuminga was more his just rolled when he was gathering for the layup. So it wasn't exactly, it's not exactly comparing apples to apples, I guess. It's just the pregame warm-up stuff. That's what it is. But it was a different type of injury. But missing him and also Andrew Wiggins too. Like that's been huge. Those are your two on-ball defenders. Those are the guys. Like Draymond can play free safety, but also those guys are the ones like you can have a good free safety, but in football, you also need a cornerback who
Yep.
can play a little bit of that man coverage too, and they don't
That's
exactly
exactly
have
what
that.
Andrew Wiggins is.
Yeah, and they don't have that right now. So I don't know. It's not the scoring that's the problem, and yeah, the 4-time champion thing. Like I get the idea of Clay bringing it up in the beginning of the season. Like that's fine. And if maybe they said something to him and he felt that was disrespectful, okay. But still bringing up the 4-time champion thing now towards the end of the year when you've proven like you don't really have much room to talk this season, especially after like a 5-game homestand where you win 5 in a row. I don't want to doubt them going into the postseason, but if you can't win on the road, like there's all the old cliches about the playoffs when it comes to road games. It's the series doesn't start until a team wins on the road. And if they can't win on the road, like what the hell's the point? And now you're probably going to be getting a play-in game. You're not going to have any home court advantage. Like I think I was saying this last year. Like I wanted them to get a higher seed because I trust them at home way more than I do on the road. And I think they could squeak out a couple of wins on the road, but I don't want them starting out on the road.
That's the thing, though, is every great finals run they've had, they've always had an impressive road win.
Uh-huh.
So this is crazy to me that I understand the beginning of the season you don't get up for games against Orlando and Detroit, but to have this still going on is alarming. Like we're in March now. The playoffs are a month away. You're not getting ready for these games anymore. It still feels like it's chore to them to play on
Yeah.
the road. They get more hyped up for the Chase crowd, which is good because Joe Lacob spent a lot of money for that place to be a home arena. But I don't understand it. And unless you are the team with the best overall record in basketball, you're gonna have to win on the road.
Mhm.
So yeah, they got to figure it out.
And maybe
I
we were and I'm seeing a lot of people call out Kerr for all the lineups that he's throwing out there.
The four
But
guard lineup.
I think we should also remember like this roster, it's not as good as it was last year. Like
Yeah,
by this time, and especially like with the whole like Looney thing, you can't start Looney right now. The only reason they're playing Looney is because Looney does not want to get rid of this consecutive game streak. He holds a lot of pride in that, and I don't. And I we mentioned this 2 podcasts ago. Just a shout out to Kevon Looney constantly playing like, but he's got back issues. They don't want to play him as they don't want to start him. They want to play him as little as possible. They want to play him so he can count towards the streak. But I don't. If they had a choice, I don't think they'd want to play him. And their bench, it's Anthony Lamb and Ty Jerome, your 2-way guys. Like those have been some of your more. I'm not even going to say like productive. I'm just going to say they've gotten just as many minutes as any bench players have this season, and they're 2-way guys. And JaMychal Green is JaMychal Green. Like he's okay. He's in spurts. Like the talent's just not there. And I think we have a like we look for someone to blame. And at the end of the day, they're just getting health. Their health is they're getting not getting unhealthy, but there's health is certainly not where it was last year heading into this point, which is like we were just waiting for Steph to come back.
yeah.
And then
Steph's back, and they're on a 3-game losing streak.
yeah, it's just it's strange, man. Draymond's been dealing with like hand issues, I think. I know there's certain instances where it's bothered him and he had to leave the game a few games ago. That was during the homestand, and he managed to come back in, but I don't know, man. It's just I think we're having a tough time grasping that this team, though they are 4-time champions and they do have Steph, Clay, and Dre, like the depth of this team is not what it was last year. And Andrew Wiggins has been up and down because he missed 15 consecutive games or whatever it was before, which is the most that he's ever missed. And I hope he's okay, by the way. I was thinking about this the other day too. It's like Wiggins
Yeah.
is a like he's an Iron Man. I remember he missed 1 game because of the birth of his daughter, and then I think it was a back-to-back, and he managed to make it for the second half of that back-to-back just because he didn't want to miss a game. So whatever family issue this is, and I don't really want to know because clearly he wants it to be kept private, but I hope he's okay, man. It's this he does not just miss games like for any old reason. I'm sure something's really up, and I hope he's all right.
It is concerning, and you hope for the best. I don't want to make any statements, but I at this point, I don't expect him back for the season.
Yeah.
Um, and I also think that this is slowly becoming the end. And not that they ever won't win again, but as far as this regime, Bob Myers, Steve Kerr, some of the players, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, this is kind of slowly becoming the end of this. Um, and looking back on last year, I think I said this before, but they were a great team last year, but it also wasn't like before. It was, like this was kind of like I think last year was kind of like the last hurrah a little bit for these guys. Maybe who the hell knows? I don't know if it's happening this season. I really don't think it is because I think there's better teams in the West. We'll see what happens with the Phoenix Suns now that Kevin Durant's out for the foreseeable future. But I don't know, man. Yeah, this is starting to look like the end a little bit.
It's well, this is what you kind of said at the beginning of the year, though, right? It's really come full circle, and it turns out that your original take was correct. You said earlier this season at the beginning, like this is kind of a last dance scenario. It feels like that's what you said. You said it's starting to feel like that, and then this team started to win some games at home, and you're like, ooh, maybe not. Maybe this team has proven me wrong. But now you kind of get to March, leading into April. Maybe that original take, you don't want to be too, you don't want to be too conclusive with things, but I think you were right. This might be the last dance sort of scenario. And I think I still think the punch hangs over. It's the classic cloud that hangs over the team right now. I think that's there. The slew of injuries. Klay Thompson, like clearly has been bothered by the critics, and he's been awesome this stretch of games, and he's been fantastic. But there is something to like this team. It felt like before they were just unfazed by anything, unfazed by all the chatter, unfazed by all the talk. And then like for the first time ever last year, Curry's like, I heard all of it, and I'm the petty king. And it's kind of carried over into this season where they've had their chests out a little bit after winning their 4th championship. But these other teams, they're fighting for that championship. They want to fight for their first one. So yeah, it could be the end, man.
They have just been consistently inconsistent for most of the season.
Yeah.
And I can't see some switch being turned on once they get to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Because I think the Clippers are better. I think a lot of teams in the West are better. I think the Nuggets are better. I think that the Grizzlies are better. I'm not saying that the Warriors aren't capable of beating these teams in a 7-game series, but if they don't start winning some road games, it's going to be damn near impossible because they can't.
I was thinking, and now you just kind of sparked something when talking about the Nuggets, because there's been a lot of debate about like Jokic winning his 3rd MVP, and I'm not.
I definitely wanted to get to that.
I'm not going to act like I've watched I'm honestly, outside of the Warriors, I've not watched a ton of basketball this season. I got rid of League Pass. And I haven't been I got rid of League Pass. So I haven't watched nearly as many outside national, unless they're national games.
Yeah.
But like all this stuff with Jokic and then the Kendrick Perkins thing, but I'm also seeing what JJ Redick is doing. And this guy is like, he is really sticking it to the man, I guess, is so to speak. To that first take,
that's sticking it to the man disease.
To that first take idea of, we'll take it. We'll focus on anything but the actual game. We'll focus on something else completely, so we can get people up in arms about it.
I know that if you know some rumors, if you hit up JJ Redick for a radio interview, he's not pleasant, but. Yeah. I do love me some JJ Redick. I loved every minute of him calling out Kendrick Perkins. And I love that he was kind of, Stephen A., it's an honor to be on this, blah, 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 blah. This is why I hate this show, because we make up shit that doesn't exist. And I just love the whole clip of that Kendrick Perkins going, I stated the facts. I stated the facts. I stated the facts. And it's just ridiculous. Everything that guy says is ridiculous. Matt Kolsky was in studio and he was talking about a book that Kendrick Perkins is writing. And I was like, is that actual, worth reading? He goes, yeah, actually, and I commend Kendrick Perkins for a lot of things. But him with this whole Jokic thing is ridiculous. I don't understand what he's trying to go for here. It's just a comparison to Russell Westbrook that does not hold up, in my opinion. I think Jokic is 10 times the player that Russell Westbrook is. I think it's a stupid argument. And I honestly laughed out loud. Like, I'm not a huge fan of Inside the NBA, but when Charles Barkley and Shaq did that the other night, where Shaq says, I got Giannis as my MVP, and Charles goes, You're only doing that because he's black, was a hilarious line.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't like Inside the NBA?
I do and I don't. I need to take it for what it is. There are times where I'm like, come on, guys. And I think if Draymond retires and is a part of that show, he will bring some actual basketball talk to that show.
Yeah.
But I take it for what it is. I know that Charles Barkley and Shaq and Kenny just like to dick around.
Yeah. Which I think we need that. You know.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
There's also just times where, Ernie's like, all right, Chucksters, so what did you think about the first half? I wasn't paying attention. All right, damn it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Should we end this with some pop culture catch up?
Ooh, a little pop culture catch up. Okay.
You got it ready to go.
I always have
Maybe-
it ready to go.
Or maybe not. There it is. Oscars are tomorrow. I don't ever remember the Oscars and Selection Sunday and the eve before free agency all lining up on the same day.
Mm.
Kind of weird.
It is very odd.
Regardless, you're into the Oscars, Steven. I used to be. I just can't get into the movies anymore. I think that we've gotten a lot of downer films lately.
Yeah.
And going through some of the movies, I'll let you I'll go through them, and you let me know which ones you've seen. I'll let you know which ones I've seen. From the best pictures,
Mm-hmm.
we got Everything Everywhere All at Once,
Yep.
Top Gun Maverick. So
Uh-huh.
I've seen these two. Actually, I've seen all there. Banshees of Inisherin, seen that.
Inisherin. What Inshire?
Whatever. The Banshees of Ed Sheeran. We got All Quiet on the Western Front. Have not seen that, but it's on Netflix, so maybe I'll check that out later.
Yeah, pretty good.
The Fablemans, saw that. I've actually seen quite a lot of these.
yeah.
Elvis, I've seen.
Yeah.
Okay, these I haven't seen. None of these. Haven't seen Tar.
Uh-huh.
Haven't seen Women Talking.
Uh-huh.
Have not seen Triangle of Sadness, and I refuse to go see Avatar: The Way of Water
Why do you refuse to go see that?
because it's just bullshit. Like, it's the same thing as the first one.
It was kind of lazy, but visually it's amazing. So
I'm sure it is, but also, like, I just listened to a Smartless interview with James Cameron. What a nerd.
he's kind of he's kind of a douchebag, but
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's James Cameron and he knows what he wants.
Call him Jim.
Yeah, call him Jim. I haven't seen those last two that you mentioned with Women Talking and Triangle of Sadness. Triangle of Sadness is that one that came out with like Woody Harrelson, I think.
Yeah.
And Women Talking, I think that has like Frances McDormand. I forgot what it was.
Actually, never heard of it.
I think I got that one on.
How about that? Two men that haven't seen Women Talking.
What do you know? I thought this, like, I've been kind of off the Oscars too, but I thought this class of movies was pretty sweet. Like, I enjoyed all of those ones that you mentioned up the top there. I think they're all kind of special in their own ways. I think Everything Everywhere All at Once, the title kind of describes itself. It really is like a movie that has everything everywhere all in one movie. I do think that it's got everything.
A little overhyped to me.
I thought it was fantastic.
Visually, it's stunning. I like the creativity of it. It's original in its own way, but it was just too weird for me. Like, there's some points where I was just like, what the hell's going on here?
I loved it. And then
That's fair.
And then I think the one that was not really too exciting, it's more for like the actress thing, was Tar. That was I think Kate Winslet's gonna win the Oscar for that because she was literally like in every single scene. There was no scene without her. So I think she's probably gonna win the Oscar for Best Actress. But the movie was whatever. It was kind of just like, I don't know. There's a lot of symbolism and all this stuff. Sometimes you just want in your face movies like Everything Everywhere All at Once or Top Gun Maverick instead of.
I'm surprised Top Gun Maverick's on there.
Yeah, but like the dedication to making that type of movie where there's not a lot of CGI and it's all just the stunts are choreographed and everything like that. I think it deserves it. And then I thought The Fablemans was awesome. I loved
Fablemans,
watching The Fablemans.
from the movies that I've seen, I would give the award to the Fablemans.
I think
But
Everything Everywhere All at Once is going to win it.
You think so, huh?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh
That's
yeah.
fair.
Yeah.
Not All Quiet on the Western Front.
All Quiet on the Western Front is really good. It's that one is I mean, it's foreign for one, so like if you're not into reading subtitles, then don't watch it. But that one is it's interesting because we think of one side of things in World War II or World War One rather. We think of one side of things. We think of where the U.S. stood and all these different things, whatever. But you never really think about Germany too much. And these young kids who were like kind of brainwashed into thinking like going to war was this glamorous, like, oh, my life is complete. Now that we're going here, like I'm really doing this. And then immediately, like just the transition from the beginning to when they actually get into the trenches of the war. Oh, it's just, I thought it was really good. It was really well done. And I think it's going to be up for like sound mixing and editing and all that stuff. I wish I would have seen it in theaters because I'm sure it would have been a lot more.
I love the distinction between sound mixing and sound editing category.
Yeah, I know, right? No one knows. It's like the difference between best song and best record.
Yes, seriously, the grain. Like, what's the difference?
Yeah, it's just it has to do with like production, and I don't even know.
Whatever.
But
yeah. Is the best song a songwriter category?
Yeah, something like that. But anyway, no, I think I think the movies were actually, I thought it was a good cast of movies here compared to the years previous.
No, I'm gonna watch The Ceremony, but in previous years I would be all about, okay, I gotta see this one, gotta see that one. I have no desire to see.
But we'll also get to see, and we'll most likely get to see that one dude win Best Supporting Actor. Come on, the guy from Indiana Jones and the Doom, Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Short Round.
Oh my God, we get to see Short Round winning an Oscar. That's gonna be emotional. I watched that during the Golden Globes, and I watched his speech. I was like, damn.
Does he have any stiff competition there?
I do not think so.
So is it pretty much down to the guy that played Elvis and Brendan Fraser for Best Actor?
Hey, man, I think so. And hey, what did I text you after I saw Elvis?
He's going to win it?
Mm-hmm.
You think he's going to win it over Brendan Fraser?
Oh, I think so.
Yeah, there's a lot of controversy with The Whale.
How so?
Because they don't like the fact that it was Brendan Fraser portraying a obese man when they should have just got someone who is obese. But then again, like with the story and everything, like I don't know if that was feasible.
Yeah, also, it's just, I mean, not to be insensitive here, but what are we gonna just try and cast a bunch of 600-pound people? Like we're gonna hold casting auditions like, hey, you have to be 600 pounds or else you can't audition for this movie. I mean,
yeah, it's gonna be tough.
But that's all. How is anyone down on that when it's like kind of like with Short Round, who hasn't acted really in anything except for like Encino Man.
It's a great comeback story.
It's an awesome comeback
Brendan
story.
Fraser.
It's an awesome comeback story. I don't know why anyone is down on that, but I think personally, I think it's Austin Butler's to lose.
You're probably right. I don't question you anymore since what we bet years ago? I said Christian Bale was going to win for Vice. You said that Rami Malek was going to win for Bohemian Rhapsody, and he did.
Yeah, well, but Austin Butler was so believable as Elvis, man.
No, he was great. He was absolutely great in there.
And the whole the voice thing, that's so funny with his voice, and now it's just completely changed, and now it's like permanently he sounds like Elvis.
So he doesn't sound like Tex from do you know he's in the last scene of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Yeah.
I'm as real as a fucking donut.
I'm
the devil. No, it was much dumber than that. It was Rex, Tex, shit like that.
It was something dumber than that. I need to rewatch that. But no, I think Austin Butler's going to win Best Actor.
All right.
I think Ke Huy Quan, who has played Short Round, actor in a supporting role. I think Kate Blanchett's going to win the actress in a leading role, and then the actress in a supporting role. I mean, I'm probably going to have to go with probably Angela Bassett because she won the
For
Golden
Black
Globe
Panther?
for Black Panther. She won the Golden Globe for it.
I didn't even know she was nominated. Nice.
Yeah. I
Didn't see that though.
do think that the girl in Everything All at Once, Everything Everywhere All at Once, though, the girl who played the daughter, Stephanie Sue, is her name.
Who's lead actress in Everything Everywhere All at Once?
Well, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Michelle Yeoh.
She probably should get that.
She could win that too, but I think that movie was kind of made with using their entire cast, and I think the Oscars is more inclined to give it to someone who, like, Tar is literally built around Kate Blanchett, and she was very believable as the how should I put it, disillusioned conductor.
Okay.
Mhm.
Who you like it for best director?
Ooh, best director is a tough one.
Is Jimmy Cameron a part of that? I'm assuming he is.
No, he is not.
Oh,
I was kind of leaning towards Spielberg, just because of the camera work and knowing that, like,
that last shot, yeah.
yeah, everything with him.
I'm more inclined for him to get the screenplay
Hmm.
category, original screenplay, and the two dudes that made Everything Everywhere All at Once probably get director.
Yeah, no, that might be a good one, or a good idea there. Where's the animated feature one? I need to
This
see
is your
that.
expertise. I'm not
I
gonna be the
don't-
weird guy going to movies for kids.
Oh, that's right. Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio.
Yeah, I heard that was weird.
Yeah, very strange. I actually haven't seen a lot
But
of these.
better than the Disney Plus Pinocchio, apparently.
Correct.
I heard that was terrible.
Yeah, I heard so too. I didn't even watch it, but anything Guillermo del Toro puts out, I will watch. But anyway,
So I will watch the ceremony tomorrow, even though I don't have a lot of knowledge about the movies. Over under 4.5 Chris Rock, Will Smith jokes.
oh, nah, there's gonna be like 2, so I'll go under.
You think so? That's it?
Yeah.
Do either of them make an appearance? Well, Will Smith can, obviously.
Maybe Chris Rock does.
I think Chris Rock said all he needed to say in his stand-up special.
Yeah, I'd say so too. We actually watched that during the week.
What do you think?
I thought it was great.
Yeah.
I don't know. Chris Rock is I love his style. I get his style of comedy is so good because it's just like it's kind of like a math equation almost, the way that he presents his stand up. It's like he has one line.
Yep.
It's kind of controversial, has a little, like, it's kind of vague, but then, like, he goes into detail and then continues to repeat that line over and over again. I love his style of comedy. And then the whole thing with Will Smith at the end. Turns out Will Smith is not pleased with what Chris Rock had to say, or saddened by what he had to say. That was the report from Entertainment Weekly. And then it's like, oh, he's sad that somebody called him out for a physical assault in the middle of the Oscars. Oh man, Will.
As Chris put it perfectly in the stand-up special, he's got selective outrage.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of us do.
Yeah, that's true. But just whatever. You looking for him to apologize? He's not going to apologize.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Before we get to the fuckery next week, what is one thing that would shock the hell out of you that happens next week? Or like one crazy trade. Like I thought we were gonna get more trades this week, just purely based on what happened last year. But that was just a once in a lifetime thing where we got a crazy trade after crazy trade last year. What's one crazy thing that you could see coming this week?
Really, it is the Raiders moving up. Like that would be the craziest thing, because they're that one team who's not who needs a quarterback now, and you know they got the wide receivers, they got the tight. I think it'd be crazy if they did move up. Like I really do. But outside of that, if there's anything crazy that happens in terms of trades, man, if you know who one that surprised me yesterday, I don't know if this was true. But I saw Dalvin Cook.
Yeah.
possibly traded. I think that'd be insane to do that.
I do expect that to happen.
I think that'd be.
But he may straight up get cut because he's got shoulder surgery.
I think that'd be nuts.
The Vikings, well, they don't want to pay him anymore, and they can't pay him anymore. And they cut Adam Thielen. Zadarius Smith wants to get off that team. Harrison Smith may get cut. They are retooling the Vikings. I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if Dalvin Cook gets traded or cut. The one that I think would be crazy and be just a huge move this offseason that would catapult one team from, being a very good contender year after year to then possibly being in Super Bowl contention. I would be, I would say I would think it's going to be Derrick Henry if he gets traded to the Bills. I think that would be like Kevin Durant going to the Suns.
Yeah. No, that'd be massive. Yeah, it's not in nothing. I guess nothing in the draft will really surprise me. It's just the Raiders are not known for like making any bold moves like that. Normally they just stand pat with where they are and just hope to build their team without trying to trade much capital.
I hear you, but if they want to be in the quarterback class of this draft, they got to move up.
Oh yeah, no, they do for sure.
All right, everybody. Well, that's going to be it for today. We'll be back Monday to react to all of the craziness of the fuckery, kind of like we did last year. And then we'll be back on Wednesday after that because there'll be more stuff coming out as the days progress. But and I may be filling out a bracket this year. I can finally do that now that I'm not on NFL Network.
You weren't allowed to fill out a bracket?
Yeah, I never understood why I couldn't do that.
For the mark? Really?
In their eyes, they thought it was a huge gambling thing. You couldn't fill out a bracket at NFL Network.
Huh. Okay.
But damn sure we do it at KNBR. Tom Tolbert's all about it. All right, everybody. We'll see you on Monday. Steven, say what you always say.
Oh, it's just our opinion, man.